All right, here we go. Episode number 8 of Conversations, Big Conversations in a Little Campervan. We're at our first episode back in Canterbury, so it feels good to be back at home. A bit of a change in backdrop there. Today we've got Jake Herron from Alexandra. Jake, can you please introduce yourself for us?
Yeah, g'day, Jake Herron. We're just south of Alexandra, down Roxburgh and farming in Fruitlands. I've just left full-time employment and focusing on a wee lease block we've got in Fruitlands there, going down the regenerative path, and yeah, stoked to be doing our own thing and being only having to answer to ourselves now. Bit of my history, I guess I grew up North Island, did a few things before I went farming, although I had a history of farming with the family. And I was 17 when I worked on the family farm in the South Wairarapa, and I've been all over since. From the Wairarapa to the Mackenzie High Country, Otago High Country, and Canada and Australia, and a few other spots in between. Seen a few different styles of farming and done a few different things in between, and yeah, finally settled in beautiful Central Otago, and yeah, that's pretty much our story for now.
Yeah, man. And so you're only a young fella. How old are you as we sit now today, Jake?
25 as we speak.
Yep. And today, literally day one of self-employment.
Yeah. So, I keep getting asked, am I nervous? But no, it's just relief, I think. It's been a wee while coming. I was working full-time and running the lease block for the last, since February, so I sat 3 or 4 months, and it was all working out all right, but it's just nice to have the time to do things properly the way I want to with my grazing management and whatnot now, and yeah, not have the pressure of working for someone else on top of that, even if there's less cash flow.
For a start,
exactly, yeah. Yep.
And so, Jake, you and I met pretty ironically. It was by chance. You reached out. You're involved with a leadership program run through Beef and Lamb. Do you want to tell us a bit about that and what that experience was like and what you discovered?
Yeah, so last year I was involved in the Beef and Lamb Generation Next program. Fantastic program. I felt I got a lot more value out of that than I did out of any ITO course I did, just in terms of the networking opportunities. And it was only 3 workshops over 6 months or 8 months or something like that. But it was really good. And as part of that, they encouraged us to find a mentor. And so I'd been following Jono on Instagram, I think, for a while, and maybe Facebook as well. And always thought you're a bit of a rock star, to be fair. I loved what you were having to say, and you were resonating with me in a big way. Questions I'd always had that I guess I've been looked at sideways and called a bit of a hippie for asking them at times. And so a lot of what you're saying was resonating with me. And after a few weeks of humming and hawing, my missus finally gave me an elbow on the ribs and said, "Just bloody message him and ask him, would you?" I know you want to. So flicked your message and asked you to be my mentor, and I couldn't be more happy with the way things have evolved, really. Still think you're a bit of a rock star, but also discovered that you're a normal guy underneath all of that as well, and developed a good friendship, I reckon, and it's been a fantastic roller coaster ride for the last 12 months, not quite 12 months, and I can thank you enough too for helping me get to where I am with everything I'm doing.
Oh, dude, it's you've done it all. That's the thing, and that's with all of my experiences, no matter who I'm dealing with, it's not a case of I don't want to tell people what to do. And for you, it was just a matter of listening of where you wanted to be, and then I just asked you the simple questions of what's missing and from where you are now and where you want to be, and shit, it didn't take long, man. And all of a sudden, you're talking about leasing and we're creating these different ideas. Then, all of a sudden you put yourself out there, you've got yourself a lease block, and it's not just a toy block either. You've got yourself a sizable bit of a playground there. And I remember it happened really quickly. Like we had, monthly discussions, or sometimes it was a bit more frequent. and we were just chatting about what the future might look like. And then it came to a time where, you know, you put an ad in the local paper, didn't you? Is that what you did?
Yeah, so I actually advertised on Facebook, and so at this point I'd spent probably 3 weeks dreaming up, you know, a little pamphlet that I was going to drop out in the mail, because the original idea was to take on, you know, anything from half a hectare through to 15 hectares, however big I could get, but just small lifestyle blocks, and work on regenerating them, and turn a profit out of it. And then, yeah, after catching up with you one day, I was thinking, when I stuff it, I'll gauge the interest. So I put a bit of an ad out on Facebook, and my wanting for 15 hectares, someone rang me and asked, how about 150, which was, a bit mind-blowing at the time.
Yeah. Next minute, I'm coming over for a consultation.
Yeah, exactly. Things developed really quickly from there, and now it feels surreal to think that I was only thinking about doing wee blocks, to be fair. And we may still take on some wee blocks once we get up to capacity with our bigger farm. But for now we're just focusing on getting that operating efficiently and making us a bit of money, and then we can look to expand from there, or just build up from within, whatever way is looking more appealing.
And the cool thing about what you've created around the brand that you've set up, which I'll ask you to tell us a bit more about shortly, but you can do anything under that brand. You know, you can do any small leases. You can, you know, offer the framework from which you actually managed to get the gig. You know, there's many options you can take, and I love your you know, last time we caught up, you showed me a few design ideas for your branding, and what you've come up with is pretty spectacular. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a bit about your brand, and what you sort of see as the future, what you want to create?
So we're lifestyle farming, and that's lifestyle, 2 words, farming. And it started as farms actually, but now that we've only got one farm, farming sounds a bit better and works better for where we want to go too. So it's a play on words. Obviously, the original idea being lifestyle blocks was, you know, it fit in with that, and it still could. But, you know, moreover, it's about lifestyle, you know, like life as a style, you know, Mother Nature and all the life around us is a style, and we're farming, we want to farm in her style. You know, nature is the perfect blueprint, said by the great Graham Sate.
Yeah.
And, so it's a wee play on words there, and then we're also about lifestyle. You know, we want a great lifestyle for us and any potential clients in the future. As you know, I would like to move into a coaching role, helping others achieve what I've achieved, whether that's the basics of regenerative agriculture at the moment, or even how we got started with our business model, because I've done it quite unconventionally in that I didn't take the steps of, you know, save the massive amount of money and go through the right manager's jobs and maybe, you know, look at an equity partnership or something like that. You know, our aim was to get in and with very little money. I think it was Hamish Belsky said at a talk, he spoke at our Generation X program, and he gave us a figure. He said $300,000 to $400,000 is what you need to start farming for yourself. You know, he said no one likes to put a figure on it, but that's the figure he put on it. And I thought, wow, that's great. Someone's finally put a figure on it. I want to prove them wrong. Because that seemed like a horrendous amount of money to me. And he's not wrong. You don't, with everything that's happened with COVID-19 and all of that, I'm definitely glad we did have money in the bank to adjust for market prices, because unfortunately we bought in lambs through the PGG Rights and Go Lamb scheme, which was great in that we didn't have to outlay money, but they were bought the day before China closed their borders. So, we sort of bought on the last of the high prices as they were coming down a wee bit, and then, plummeted. So, my advice to anyone looking to do the same thing would definitely be, it is possible to get in with very little down, as we have. And we've been very lucky with the opportunities we've been given there. But, definitely having a safety net. I'd be having a lot more sleepless nights if we didn't have that safety net.
Mm.
Yeah, just with the way prices have gone, which is, yeah, you can't predict that.
No, and you can wait. You can wait a decade before you feel like you're ready to take the leap. And in my years of farming, I saw farm ownership and leasing as like an out of reach goal. And so I literally didn't apply myself to the idea of actually going for that, because to me, I didn't have the money, all these things, but you saw through that and you thought, well, why can't I? And then through the right channels and the right support. I mean, talk me through, you're not from a farming background per se, you certainly don't have that acquisition there for a transition, a succession. You're not going to work your way into a farm ownership role. Was there a time where you thought it was out of reach, and what was it for you that thought, no, I'm going to actually go for this anyway?
So I'd actually chucked in shepherding a couple of years ago. I left my job at Wild Peak Station, and I'd had enough. I was done sheep and beef farming for the foreseeable future, and I went off tractor driving in Australia, and the plan was to go travel and do all that good stuff, which I had done a wee bit of in the past. And then I mistakenly come home for a week's holiday, month's holiday, sorry, about a year later, and met a lovely lady and ended up staying home. And I needed a job again, and I wanted to be in the same area as her, so I did all I knew, and I got a team of dogs back together and went sheep and beef farming again. And I still probably was a bit disillusioned with it all, and I was looking to get out of it again. And then that's when I came across regenerative agriculture, and that was the first time, I think, in a very long time that I ever had the notion that it might be possible for me to have my own farm. It was when I read Gabe Brown's Dirt to Soil, and his talk of stacked enterprises, and then the cost efficiency of these farming models. When I started running the numbers through, that was the first time, probably since before I was 20, that I had the notion that I might actually own my own farm one day. And that reignited a passion that I had long since lost. And I hadn't lost, but that it fizzled out a bit. And all guns blazing again, and that's how we got to where we are. I think a bit of that passion, and not being scared to ask, which I've always been scared to ask for things. I think it's a bit of that Kiwi bloke thing. You don't ask for anything, but crikey, it's gotten me a long way. Just telling people what I want and asking them.
And how important it is to actually want something. So we get bored into this world where there's like things that we think we should desire, like for you, farm ownership, for me, it was the same. And from a conventional mindset, as well as a conventional farming paradigm, it does look like hard work. And, I touched on it earlier last week in an interview where I talked about the conventional to regenerative shift is a whole picture shift. And I sort of brought it down to a sentence of, we go from complicated simplicity, which is the linear, reductionist approach to agriculture, but complicated, like what we've been used to regenerative, which is sort of like the opposite. And I worded it like simple complexity, because we don't need it to be complicated, but yet the systems that we're creating are super complex, and we can't even begin to understand each of the interactions. So there's a shift. But I talk about what's required to shift a paradigm, and it happened for you maybe subconsciously, but it's like to take something on. And for anyone that comes to me that wants to learn about regenerative agriculture, they really must want to. And for you, the desire to go farming, I mean, you'd throw it in the towel, you'd thought, no, this possibly isn't for me, there's got to be more. And then all of a sudden you were reignited in finding this regenerative stuff. All of a sudden that brought in the want. So when people want something, all of a sudden they're able to create that sort of trajectory of where they want to be. And then all of a sudden all the things come in, if you're clear around your communication, if you've got ample inspiration, and the other important part is application. So all this information is just noise if you don't have it in an applicable way, if you can't actually apply the stuff, So there's the information that's really easily available. There's the inspiration, which is like, oh my God, I could actually do this. But then also the application, and you sort of had all of that come together, and then very quickly, all of a sudden, you're signing a lease agreement.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, it very much was. I finally turned around and asked what I wanted, and the universe provided it in quick succession.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, like a bit of a wrecking ball almost.
Yeah. Well, you sent me a book recently called The Surrender Experiment, which I actually read. And I don't read many books. Well, actually, I didn't read it. It was on Audible. I can't, you gifted it to me. I can't claim that I read that one. But, he sort of talks, what's that author's name again? Can you remember? Mark somebody.
Michael A. Singer.
That's the one. He sort of talked about, being clear with an intention, and the universe provides. It's like, I can't help but look at your very short journey and the time that I've known you, like, holy moly, someone, there's something out there. Well, let's not go that far, but, the universe is certainly providing for you. You've made a request, you've got an intention, then all of a sudden, all these things, I turn up, you've got the farm owner that you've had come forth, you've got this community around you to the point where you're actually making a difference out there. Your contribution to the Quorum Sense team is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's amazing how things have just kept falling into place. Like, 150 hectares, it's more than enough to keep me busy. But like I said before, cash flow, we probably need a bit of that still coming in. And on 150 hectares, I'll probably run out of things to do eventually. So it's amazing. There's a 200 hectare farm less than 5 minutes up the road that the manager is leaving, and it was just through one of Sally's colleagues letting us know to give the owner a call. And I've been in conversations with him. I catch up with him on Wednesday, and he wants to. I've talked to him about the regenerative concept as well, and he's amazing, hugely excited about it. And so that's just slotted in like perfectly. Didn't even ask for that one.
Yeah.
Throwing at me, and so that's really exciting. Things just seem to keep turning up. So I just went down to Owaki yesterday to pick up some brake fencing gear. We'd put an ad out on Facebook asking if anyone had any second-hand stuff, and they sold us a heap of it for a good price, which I thought was already pretty good. And then we actually got yakking to them, and they were like-minded. They'd been doing regenerative type stuff for 30 odd years. So they were hugely interesting to talk to as well. It's amazing things that just keep popping up, the like-minded people that just seem to keep on popping up in my life.
Yeah. And so so with regards to the farm down the road, would you look into, possibly, like, what would you look at that sort of opportunity, being able to take something else on while still, getting everything you need to get done on the farm done? It's all possible. What do you sort of see it looking like?
At this stage, I'd see it as more than likely being a manager's type position. That's certainly what they want as an overseer anyway. And it's probably an opportunity to play with something where perhaps they've got more money than I do. So, take a bit of a different approach and probably more inputs, but seeing the greater outputs as well. Creating that cash flow for myself of having an income. Also helping them. The owner actually designs sprinkler systems, so how that could work for him as well, and proving efficiency of his systems in a regenerative environment or along those lines. And it can progress in any direction. He's already got shareholders, so you never know. The thoughts play across my mind, and I probably shouldn't be throwing them out there too publicly, but equity partnerships and things like that. The possibilities are endless, and if it's not with these people, then that's definitely an avenue we're going to start looking at in the next few years. Getting into some form of ownership, hopefully. I mean, my whole business model thus far has been modelled around a line I heard from Greg Judy, actually, that your aim in life should not be to own the land, but to control the land. And I definitely, that resonates, and that's a damn good way to get started out. I think we looked at it, going out and buying the land straight up that's bloody hard. And you limit yourself severely, whereas, the way we're doing it, and we've been lucky with the landowner and the opportunities given us for this first 2 years to not really pay a lease so much as we do grey stock for them, and that pays our lease as opposed to cash for the first couple of years. And so that's a really good starting point for us as well. I don't know if many people would get that opportunity, but hell, if you only got to ask, because I think there's plenty of fellas out there who would dearly love to give a young fella or Sheila or couple a go, which is exactly what Mark wanted with us. He just saw a keen young couple who he wanted to give a crack, and fortunately enough was in a position to be able to do so.
And I remember it being like, because you and I, we all met up at Leasing here. You're up doing something I can't remember, and you and Sally come down and we met up, and you sort of threw out on the table the idea of what you wanted to do, and maybe you couldn't see it then. And I said, well, what's stopping you? What's stopping you putting yourself out there? And we talked about this very thing. The fact that there's bound to be some people out there, perhaps not so. Well, I use the word able, but I don't think that was a word that I used back then. But there's bound to be people out there that just want to support other good, keen young people that have the inspiration and the energy and the drive to do something big with their property. And then it was like less than a week, I'm sure it was, after that you had this thing landed. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was insane how quickly it happened. I do remember ringing you. Yeah, completely in shock just about it. What from my way?
Yeah.
And especially given the gravity of the opportunity to you, with not necessarily paying money for a lease anyway for the first year or two, because that really has given us our start. I don't think we would have been able to do it. We would have struggled to do it anyway if we had to. And then, on top of that, with, like I said before, with the way stock prices have gone, I'm definitely glad we are doing a regenerative approach, because, if I was staring down the barrel of a maintenance fertiliser bill, or, some of those big input bills, then, when prices were good, then no worries. We would have smoked through that, no worries at all. But, now that we're losing money on lambs, it's, that would have ruined us in our first year, no worries.
Yeah, man, the risk is a lot higher. And, there's plenty of people out there that, it's risky enough, the game we play as farming, return on investment, etc. But when people can cut all this unnecessary spending out, all of a sudden, when you're at the mercy of something out of your control, it's not so detrimental. And so for you as a young fella that's just come on board this journey, if you can get through this period, man, you're going to be set up. You're going to be, laughing for what else, the future has to hold.
Oh, exactly. There's another one I find. I wonder if perhaps the universe was telling me something with the accumulation of things going wrong in the last few months. I had set things up on the lease block so that they were cruising a bit. So I only had to be up there once a week, and I wasn't having to stress too much about running back and forwards from work and whatnot. And then it all seemed within the space of a week, the prices crashed. I had stock turn up that I didn't know were coming. So the feed pressure started coming on a lot more, and then the pressure of not being able to kill lambs as well, all snowballed within about a week, to the point where I was back up there every day on daily shifts. And that was someone, whether it be the universe or some other power that be, saying, you're not just going to cruise, you're going to buck up and prove that this works and do it properly.
Yeah, man. And this is huge. Like, I don't know that many people are, like, because it's a big issue in farming, is that whole, the typical age of a farmer in New Zealand, forgive me if I've got this just slightly out, but I believe it's around 58 years old. is the typical age for a farmer in New Zealand, or the average age. And so, you know, it's always been a hurdle for young fellas getting into the game where they can actually have a bit of skin in the game. What would you say to those people out there that are, you know, working, building experience, they see a future goal of whether it be equity partnership or ownership or even leasing? You know, what would you say to those young fellas out there, or women, or couples looking into the journey of farming as being quite a difficult one? What would you have to say to them?
Yeah, it all seems very daunting, and I mean, quite hypocritical. Save money. I never did, but save money. You know, you do want a bit of that behind you, but I think there are ways and means to get into it. Like if you are the type that, you know, can scrimp and save every penny and do it the old-fashioned way, then hats off to you and do it, because it's probably quite possibly one of the most satisfying ways of doing it. Well, and, you know, and financially secure and having your own money in the game. But there are ways around it. You know, the road I've gone down, or, you know, if you're a real hustler, I've seen people hustle $1 into, you know, a lot more than that. Personally, I've never been that flash at it myself. But the main thing is have the conversations with people. Ask, you know, put something out there on Facebook saying what you want to do. You know, just have the conversations with people, because I see it more and more and more now, especially since I've asked, is the people out there who do want someone young and enthusiastic coming in and having a go. And, you know, they do actually want to see young people get a bit of skin in the game, but they don't necessarily know how to do that. And likewise, yeah, young people wanting in who just cannot see over the barrier that is the enormously high cost of everything. And shit, now would be the time to be doing it, I reckon, or here shortly, because, you know, stock's cheap. Land, I don't think land's going to go back much, if at all, from what I'm seeing. But yeah, stock's cheap. It'd be a good time to get in.
Yeah.
And there'll be people, unfortunately, going bust at the moment. So there'll be opportunities to get in as well.
Yep.
The conventional route of do this, do that, and, you know, take these right steps, and hello, you'll be a farmer one day, isn't necessarily the only way, and not even the best way, possibly. You know, the opportunities are endless, and yeah, the key really is just to bloody ask. Yeah. People and tell them what you want.
Yeah. It's like the fear about asking is sort of, you know, we make it up, like asking for help makes us slightly lesser men, or, you know, because I remember when you first messaged me, like, it was a bloody well written, you know, it was like 5 paragraphs or something. It was like a really well written little thing, and I could tell you really put some time into it. And like that time you put into that, what you wrote me, that, like, what was that like, you know? Because what a lot of people are missing is they have like an idea of okay, it'd be great to be a farmer, but actually getting down to the specifics, like the nitty gritty of what they're expecting, what they would like, and how to go about getting it. Like, all of that had to go, sort of, to some respect, all of that had to go into that first little message that you sent me. And then you fired it off. And we forget that, like, the impact of these requests or putting our intentions out there in the world actually have on other people. So for me, when I read that, I was like, wow, this dude, you know, it gives other people affirmation that what they're doing is, you know, they can contribute to you. And if you hadn't have voiced it, I would never have had the opportunity to contribute to you, let alone the fulfillment of having contributed to such an amazing person.
Yeah, no, it was a bit of a step to take, to be fair, sending that message. Yeah, no, there was a lot of time went into it, because that's the problem. We get these dialogues go in the back of our heads of, you know, I'll seem like a dick or whatever. Yeah. And really it's not true. And if it is, who cares? I still struggle with it massively at times, worrying about what people might think about me. Especially when I'm going to be throwing in sunflowers and all sorts of other pretty flowers, you know, beside the road and amongst a whole lot of conventional farmers. neighbours are probably going to be ringing the farm owner, telling him he's gone mad, letting me run the place.
I think we need a sign for you, Jake, up on the roadside. Inquire within for your free flax jandals.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, honestly, I'm getting a lot better at it, and it is freeing just to go, oh, I won't swear, but yeah, who gives up?
Yeah. I'm okay with swearing, man.
What people think of you, crikey, because it's probably not as bad as what you think they're thinking, and if it is, then they're not worth your time.
It sort of just points out right now, man, like how limiting that dialogue can be, and we've all got it.
Definitely.
And making the distinction that is just that. It's not you. That chatter is not you. It's just chatter.
Yeah, it's just the voice in your head that probably just needs to shut up.
It's not out for your best interest in most cases. It's the same voice that has you ask, I wonder what it's like if I jump off this bridge.
yeah, exactly. Exactly,
yeah. Or that same voice that says, this person, or like you have a conversation with someone and you think to yourself about an interaction, or like even just a facial expression. Sometimes you see a facial expression like someone is, there's a reaction of some form, and you instantly go into, or the dialogue instantly goes into, oh man, what did I say to cause that? Or, what was it that I did? It all goes like negative all the time. And to believe it is like, we all do it. It's like we think it's natural. And the thing is, we think it's us. And it's just not, is it? That voice is not you. It's just the conversation you're having.
Yep. It's just the dialogue in the back of your head. And yeah, it's funny, you see it scramble. A silence in the conversation is all it takes. And how we scramble to fill it when we'd be far better off just to sit there and let our thoughts be collected and say something intelligent rather than just scrabbling to fill a silence in the conversation type thing. Yeah.
And you can't listen to your dialogue and listen to someone else. Like you can see people, when you're talking with someone and when they're gone, when they're listening to their dialogue.
I do it all the time. I've actually struggled a couple of times in the last 5 minutes. Actually, no, I'm paying good attention here, but it pretty much fills my days. I do struggle a lot of the time to stay current in a conversation, unless it's about farming. To be perfectly honest, more so that the type of farming that we're doing or working towards. I find those conversations very easy to follow, but otherwise, the dialogue tends to take me away a bit. And that's something that I work on and really needs to be worked on a bit more. But
you know what I just saw just now? Just an insight I just had, as what's required is understanding. Because when we get into conversations where we don't understand, and my language is not straightforward to listen to sometimes, and so if we don't understand, we go into like, why don't we understand? Am I not good enough to understand? Why is it that I don't understand what this person's saying? And so and it's the same with farming and with farm ownership. If you don't understand, it's very hard to listen, and it's very hard to inquire into areas where you haven't before because you don't understand. And so getting an understanding would be a great start. Getting clear on what's required, understanding, what is missing about what you're doing to be able to bring in to be able to make that difference. But especially in regards to ways in which people farm, is like when I'm talking with groups of people, you've really got to get where they're at so that you can speak to them a way that they understand. Otherwise, there's just nothing. There's just no engagement. And so for people out there listening now, whatever you're interested in life, whether it's farming or not, whatever you're interested in, get some understanding of what you want to achieve, so that then you can listen for when people are speaking to you about certain things, you can understand and not listen to that voice of doubt.
Yeah, and touching on that actually too, I'll just go back to you asking about, advice for people maybe wanting to to get into ownership or leasing or anything like that, get an understanding of the business side, because that is something that as a shepherd or a farm worker or a milker, whatever kind of farming you're doing, is something that we very rarely see unless you're working on a family farm, until you get up into those management roles fairly well. Because even as a stock manager, most people don't see the business side. And that has been the steepest, most terrifying learning curve to date of this whole process. And I still struggle with the business side of things, but that was something that Beef and Lamb Generation Next was good for, is it took us through a basic understanding of accounting and and things like that. And without that, I would have struggled a hell of a lot more too. So yeah, I would really encourage you, even if you're a junior bloody shepherd, to talk to your boss about the business side of things. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't like to talk about that because we don't like to talk about money. But yeah, if you can get an understanding of that, your leagues ahead of other people. And even if I say only, no, going for a manager's job isn't the only thing. It's still a very good route to go down. And even if you're going down the manager's route, having an understanding of business will put you streaks ahead of other people in the running for that same job.
For sure. And it's funny you should bring this up, Jake, because recently I got asked, there's a woman in Australia who's looking at developing an app around regenerative agriculture, and I won't go into specifics, but she asked what my business plan was, and I said, I don't have one. And I've actually never had one. I've got lots of ideas, but I don't set myself a plan. It's a bit like grazing management and nutrient management. Is if you get too focused on a plan, it sort of has you unable to deal with the obstacles or the possible changes in direction that you might have. So like if I was to sit down and plan where I'm at now 2 years ago, it would be impossible, because I would never have expected that I'd be here. And this woman was like, wait, you've got 2 businesses and a charitable trust, and you've got no business plan? I said, well, I'm not speaking for everyone else that I'm involved with, no way. But just for me, I sort of like to operate with that sort of basic understanding, but open to fluidity and fluctuations in direction. Because like you say, who knows what the universe is going to throw at you?
Oh, exactly. And yeah, the whole business plan thing is something I've been meaning to do for quite some time. We did have I remember in our first discussions, you had me come up with goals and plans to enact. And yeah, we did sort of go through that process a wee bit. But yeah, I'd been kicking myself for a while, thinking I really need to give myself a kick up the arse and get this business plan sorted out. And then, yeah, I read the Surrender Experiment. And, Michael Singer, he built up a multi-billion-dollar business with no business plan, no board meetings, no nothing. He built it, out of the offices of a hippie commune.
Yeah. And he didn't even want to be in business.
No, he didn't even want to be in business. Yeah. He just wanted to do yoga and meditate all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he built up a multi-billion-dollar business. So I don't stress myself so much. Although, yep, I still would like to get my plan down on paper as to where we would like to end up, just so we've got that recorded and I can refer back to it from time to time, to more for direction than anything.
Yes, for sure.
I think, yeah. There's no one road to Rome, that's for sure. And, well, I don't know about that saying either, to be fair, because I almost think we're walking away from Rome in a sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no one road to wherever you go. And for some people, having that strict business plan works well. And if that's you, then do it. That's great. But don't feel like you have to be tied into these ways and Fortune 500s, this is how they got to where they are, so this is how we've got to do it. It's not necessarily the case, because some people build up massive amounts of wealth and they don't even want it.
Yeah, and you can spend all your life preparing, right? Like, it's the same with people I talk to around taking on regenerative principles, but things also as simple. Like, for instance, I've been having this discussion with Peter Barrett lately. People want to know what's involved. It's like, well, just one, you've got to be keen, you've got to want to get into it, and two, just get into it. Get some support behind you and just get into it, because we can spend forever preparing, waiting for the relevant data. Well, it's a bit like having children, man. Like, a lot of people, and really, are you ever ready to have children? No.
No.
We can sit here preparing all our lives. There's no manual for having children, nor is there any manual for farm ownership, nor is there any manual for the way in which you farm. And so, you know, people, and I think the take-home message from this little piece of the chat is like, you know, yes, you can wait till, you know, most of the time you're not ready. You know, you'll tell yourself you're not ready. And to wait for the time when you're ready, you know, all of a sudden you say goodbye to 10 or 15 years, like what I did.
And if you're comfortable,
and I didn't end up owning a farm anyway.
And yeah, this thing, if you spend all your time preparing and you're comfortable, then you're not stepping outside your comfort zone. So growth can happen in that zone, but chances are the growth isn't going to happen if there's not a modicum of discomfort there.
Yeah.
And that feeling of jumping off the bridge.
Yeah.
Which,
and to God knows what. And to, yeah.
Oh, exactly. I definitely struggled with it, you know, despite having questioned my whole career, you know, around some of our practices in farming. I still struggled to take that leap of faith a bit, I guess, into, I remember constantly asking you, what do you think? What do you think? And you're just like, dude, you got to work this one out for yourself. And that's exactly what it is becoming the expert in your own right on the subject, because every farm's different, every paddock's different. You know, I dug 2 holes today, 5 meters apart, and found completely different things.
Yeah. It's just hit me now, man. Like, look back at some of the messages you'd send me of questions, and now look at the frequency. You know, you're out there doing it on your own. The questions you used to ask me were like filled with doubt and hesitancy, and now, like, you know, you're up and sailing. What I hear from you is like, hey man, check this out. I've got worms, you know.
Yeah.
Not like worms, you know.
No,
worms in the soil.
Good worms, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's great. It's a great feeling, and there's still doubt worms its way into my conscience at times, and I'm lucky I've got a great support crew behind me, and likes yourself and other friends, and even Pat Barrett. Lucky enough to be tied up with some hugely knowledgeable people. I keep saying lucky, but really I'm only there because I asked to be there.
Yeah.
There's nothing special about me in that sense. Although, I do feel like I'm a bit special at times. But
both of us, man, we're pretty special, right?
Yeah, bloody oath. But I mean, the only thing special about me is that I asked, as opposed to people who might look at it and want to be in that position. The likes of yourself and Peter Barrett, and there'll be other names that aren't springing to my mind at the moment, but that a lot of people are looking at now as rock stars in the industry, and I wish I could get support from guys like that. You guys all are only too happy to share everything you've got, so it's just a case of asking, and then I know for a fact if you can't respond yourself, you'll put people in touch with the right people, sort of thing. And it's just taking that leap.
That's right, man. There's no shame in that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's no formula, there's no model. That's the hardest thing that people have got to get their head around. There's no the agronomist turning up and do this and this. There's many ways to do everything.
Yeah, it's like diversity. We talk about it in regenerative agriculture, like the diversity of plant species and animal species, but it's also really important. And I sort of touched on it with Wayne Langford around governance, but it's also really important for people who are, striving to do something bigger, striving to create something for themselves, that they get that diversity of guidance and diversity of input and learning as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think diversity is just everything. That's all there is to it.
It is, eh?
It doesn't matter what part of your life, if there's diversity, then it's just better.
Yeah, there's more to life than Labour versus National.
Oh, totally. And let's not get started on that one.
I'm non-political.
Yeah. Nah. And yeah, and we got to, at the end of the day, you got to just sit back and think about it. And, you know, we're all just part of one great big ecosystem. We might have been treating it like shit for a fair while, but we're all just part of that. So yeah, there's no point getting too caught up on anything really, because yeah, we're all part of this together. And yeah, I can't quite think where I'm actually going with that, but
no, that's diversity, man. So there's not, you know, for us to move forward, you know, what I'm hearing is like it's got to be less about me, and more about, you know, everyone.
Definitely. Yep. And yeah. I
mean, you might be coming of me to offer advice and stuff for free like I do, but for me it's I wouldn't have it any other way. Like for me, it's about either we're all going to make it or none of us are.
Oh,
and
exactly.
You know, if we hadn't had our conversations, you wouldn't be out there doing what you're doing. Next minute, you're going to, you know, be coaching people yourselves, all from that original interaction. And you know, you and I have even talked about how do we bring, you know, nutrition as a focal point, human nutrition to the world, and do it in a youthful manner. Can I still fit under youthful 31?
Yeah. We only grow old because we're told to, mate.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the human nutrition thing, I mean, you know, that's another huge direction that our business will head towards as well. You know, farm to plate is a dream of mine and always has been. But yeah, we want our community, the people around us, to be eating good nutrient-dense food, and yeah, and try and put some more of these fast food outfits out of business. Really,
yeah, man. I think we better chat soon about that, because you know, right now people coming out of COVID-19, and it shows in the sales of, you know, seedlings and seeds. People want to be connected to food again. So I think you and I need to rekindle that conversation that has gone dry over the last few months since COVID. But let's you and I get back on that. You know, what are we going to offer the world? How are we going to get that nutrition as a focal point?
Definitely, because there's so much information out there on it is the hard part, and so much misinformation. But then, yeah, what is misinformation? I mean, everything is only an objective truth. This is a wee bit philosophical, but yeah, it doesn't matter, you know, how many facts are behind any opinion or anything like that. Any truth is only someone's opinion.
Yeah. There was a point, man, where DDT was justified.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
The things we do to cure cancer, all justified. Some of it's barbaric.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't know this. I was down in South Otago yesterday visiting someone. Well, South Otago, Southland, somewhere around there. I don't actually know what region I was in. But anyway, they're not allowed. I never knew this. They're not allowed to ditch out their drains. They have to spray them with glyphosate. So, right. Yeah, I just did not see how that. I cannot even register how that makes sense. That you're not allowed to get a digger in to ditch out your drain and, you know, spread a bit of sediment over your paddocks. Instead you're allowed to go and pour a hazardous chemical that says on the box that it's hazardous around waterways.
Yeah. I drove through Oamaru the other day, and there was a guy out on a motorbike fully spraying a footpath in full use in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Just out there all over the footpath, people walking towards, and I'm just like, wow, people's, you know, perception must shift, otherwise they're not going to see, like, people, it's all justified. And even having a discussion today with a woman who wants to plant some diversity about her rep, and I won't name the company from which she's working for, but this rep who sells seeds and stuff and chemicals and fertilizers was telling this woman that the mix that Peter Barrett and I had recommended her through Symbiosis Ag was hippie-like, and that she can actually drink a glass of Roundup and it won't hurt her. And I'm just like, wow, that's still getting around. Like, that was stuff that my father used to say.
Oh, I've been told that one myself too. And yeah, it wasn't until we went to Regenerate that I learned the truth and the myth in that statement all in one, that yes, you may survive, but you'll shorten your lifespan. And yeah, and although yes, glyphosate doesn't affect us because what is it that gly affects again? You know the terminology for it.
The shikimate pathway.
The shikimate pathway, and we don't have one, but of course we are biology. Our guts have a huge amount of diverse biology in them, and they all have the shikimate pathway. So yeah, that's
But
right.
like saying neonicotinoid seed treatment doesn't affect bees. And so when you put neonicotinoids on bees, it won't kill them like very fast. And there's a rate that it reaches in which it will kill a bee direct. But on label rates, they say the claim is that it doesn't kill bees, but it kills the biology within the bee that slows the bee down. It brings in all these disorders like bees getting lost, unable to find their hives again, and so they die, or the slow bees get eaten by predators, or they just simply don't make it home. They don't have the energy. So these products, although on the label say they don't directly affect like the human being, Roundup directly affecting the human being, it's not direct, it's indirect, and people aren't making that connection.
No.
And it's like Jonathan Lundgren says, you can read on a packet of glyphosate or whatever, and it says that it's fully regulated and you know, safe. And I'll quote this from Jonathan Lundgren. He says, you think people are watching? He says, I'll make this really clear. And this is, you know, ex-USDA. Jonathan Lundgren's a entomologist. He's award-winning, spent 13 years or so with the USDA. And I'll quote him, and he says, no one is watching. No one can safely say that these products aren't having a wider effect on the human body or on ecosystem.
It's like when cadmium started building up in New Zealand soils. You know, what did our government do? They upped the acceptable level of cadmium. You know, who decides that? What is acceptable? None of it's acceptable, really.
And and like you said it perfectly, man. It's just the perspective.
Yeah. That's the problem with an objective truth is it's true to whoever believes it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know that takes back to diversity. Diversity in opinion is what makes us human, and it's what challenges us, and it's brilliant. And I love sitting down and debating all these different things with people.
Yeah. And the other thing is, man, like with that, actually, there's got to be like we've got to let go of righteousness, because you can't be righteous and open to different things at the same time. And so we need to let that go, and the pride thing. But, you know, vulnerability, man, that's the key. If we can all be vulnerable to say, like, okay, this is where we're at. How do we move forward without holding on to all the judgments of the past and all the decisions made of the past?
Yeah. And that righteousness you're talking about, like, we've got to be careful here. You know, this movement we're being called, you know, of regenerative farmers, that we're not getting stuck into, you know, whoever you're sort of into, whether you're a Gabe Brown follower or an Ian Mitchell-Ennis or Jonathan Lundgren, or the huge amount of powerhouses out there, whoever you're sort of into and follow, that you're not just narrow-mindedly following what they say now, because then you've not really changed much. You might have changed the way you farm, but you've not changed much. The whole idea of this for me is to be open-minded about absolutely everything that anyone says to me, to have that inquiring mind, which we're taught from schooling age not to have.
Yeah. You had it before then, but kids always ask, but why?
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's a whole nother kettle of fish going down that one. But, you know, the fact that we're taught to fear failure and all those sorts of things. One of my favourite quotes is, and I don't know where it came from, to be fair, but I do my best to live by it, is to strive for success but embrace failure, because shit, you don't learn without failure.
Yeah, man. And another quote that seems quite relevant just for this part of the conversation is, and I forget who said it, but it goes like this: if you want to make small changes, change the way you do things. If you want to make big changes, change the way you see things. Yeah,
it's from dirt to soil. Gabe, that's not Gabe Brown's quote. He quotes someone else, but yeah,
he does.
That, yeah. And that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Cool, man. Well, look, we'll wrap it up there, Jake. And again, it's been, you know, an amazing thrill for me to watch you grow and develop, and you know, just blown away by your commitment, your openness, your willingness, your discipline. You know, been working a full-time job throughout and maintaining a good, healthy relationship with Sally. You guys are rocking it, man. And why I wanted to get you on to have a chat is just so you can offer that inspiration to others, because you're already doing it in the circles you're in. But man, you know, I think your story is one that if I was able to watch when I was a young lad, that it might just have changed the way in which I was operating. So thanks for taking the time to chat with me today, man. And, you know, keep up the amazing work, and let's chat soon about, you know, what's next for you and I. Let's do something cool together. And for people who would like to get in touch with you, what's the best way to go about getting in touch with you and or your branding?
So I've just been thinking about that in the back of my head right now, actually. I will get my ass into gear and make my Facebook page live this evening. So that'll be lifestyle farming. Hopefully it shouldn't be too hard to find. And obviously people can get in touch with you to get in touch with me if needs be. But yeah, don't hesitate to do so. I am really keen to get out and talk to people about what we're doing and potential changes that they could make. And I know we've had conversations in the past that, you know, there could be involvement between us along that level as well. But at this stage, you know, I will have to charge travel for anything like that I do, but otherwise that service is free. I really just want to get out and talk to people and have a sticky beak around their farm. I love doing that shit, you know. Yes, I'll make that Facebook page live this evening, and realistically, I'd say that's the easiest way people are going to get in touch with me, if not through you.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time, Jakey boy, and we'll wrap it up there.
Brilliant. No, cheers, Jono. It's been awesome.